Hello, everybody. We are back. It's Willie and Renee. Well, this is Willie, and I'm Renee. How's that? And today we're talking about a subject that's close to home. And hopefully, you haven't had to go through this issue. But if you have, you'll be able to understand. And if not, maybe someone else has, whatever the case may be. But we had said months and months ago, you knew that I had throat cancer. You can tell even, or maybe if you haven't been listening to us about how my voice has changed and I'm still healing and all of that. So what we wanted to talk about today is how it affects the family and how it changes things, what we do and how we go about things. And so, my husband doesn't talk quite that much as me anyway, but today I may end up talking a little bit more because I'm going to interview him basically. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to ask him is how did it affect you when you first heard the diagnosis? We were in the doctor's office together, of course, when he told us. Well, let me go back and say this really, really quick was that I didn't have any kind of symptoms, nothing. I had a throat cancer scare a few years ago, back in 20, and I didn't have to have any radiation, no kind of chemo. I went to a holistic clinic, and and all was well. But they told me that every year after that I should get tested, and I was so happily married until last year. I forgot to get tested. And so I woke up one morning in February. Yeah, it was around this time, as a matter of fact, February 3rd or 4th. And I said, oh my goodness, I didn't get tested last year. I need to go and get tested. And so I called the doctor right away, and they made an appointment for me right away. And then found out that I had it. And they were like, well, how did you even know? What happened? I said, nothing. Yeah, I just totally was the Holy Spirit. I didn't have any kind of symptoms, no kind of anything. So we really were not even prepared. One day I figured, oh, I didn't do have my checkup. And 2 days later, they gave me an appointment and thought it might be cancer. And then 2 days after that, boom, here we are. So now back to the question. So we sort of, it was a lot to take in a little bit of time. And so, when they gave us the diagnosis, I remember what I said. I was like, oh, okay, and he was like, you did understand what I said. And I was like, yes. But how did that affect you? What was your first reactions whenever they gave the diagnosis?
Well, I think my first reaction was the fact that because of my relationship with the Lord, I just felt that things was going to be okay, that I was going to be okay, in the sense that I felt that it was going to be my responsibility to do more, to believe more, to do more, to help you to be relaxed and to follow the treatment plan that they would establish for you. So that was my first thought, and how I went along with that, even after you started the process of the radiation.
Right, right. I remember before when I was faced with the diagnosis, we were just dating. And I told him, and I was like, well, you may not want to date me because I don't even know what this is and how it's going to turn out. He's like, no, that doesn't deter me at all. No, I'm in it to win it. And I was like, okay, what manner of man is this? But that was a beautiful thing. But with this, they asked that I could have surgery or, all of these things or whatever, or I could do radiation and, all of that. And I was looking at my husband and he said, whatever you decide, that's what we'll go with. And so he said, well, the doctor was like, well, we'll give you a chance to think about it. I was like, no, we don't have to think about it. We're just going to do the radiation. That's it. Okay. Because when he explained the surgery, I was like, well, that's so, excuse me, so iffy, because we still may need radiation, they explained after that. So it's like, well, then let's just go right to it. He said I did not need any chemo and that it was very, very tiny and it was more preventative that they wanted to, do a whole lot of stuff. So I was like, fine. And my husband was just like, whatever we're doing, that's what we're doing. Let's just do it. And so that gave me a lot of support and knew, yeah, it was going to be okay because he was going to be okay. Come on.
The good part about it is not, I don't know if I say good, but the blessing is the fact that I'm one of the ones that is appreciative that I am retired.
Mm-hmm.
And being retired, you're not as concerned about life, about getting up and calling in for work or income, so to speak, or where you're going to be or where you're going to live. Because we've been blessed, we have a place to live, we have income that we can at least eat. And, we're going to eat regardless. If bills not paid. That's we have our priorities straight, and that's where I believe that our prayer life was such that we was had the confidence in knowing that through it all, we know that Lord is going to bless us and going to keep us, and that we have to do our part. And our part was to just follow the treatment plan that was given, and just believe and continue to pray about it.
Right. Now, here comes the other part. Well, let me say this first was in the midst of all that, right before that, we changed churches and started going to this other church, which actually was a total blessing from God because one of the stalwart members of the church is an oncology specialist, and that's what she deals with every day. And she's a naturalist and all of that. So she was really on it, like, yes. And so it was good that I told people, this is what is happening or whatever. And she was like, okay, this is it. Let me show you what to do, what to eat, what not to eat, all of that. And my husband, being who he is, he was listening and he was going to make sure that I did what I needed to do. And yeah, it was just such an amazing support. So through the process, what was the most maybe tedious for you, first of all? What do you think was the most tedious? Because I did radiation every day, 5 days a week, right? Yeah, it was
To
5 days.
me, I would say the most tedious part was the idea of trying to get you to eat and
Right, right.
drink liquids.
Yeah.
And because that was one of the things that the doctors kept emphasizing to us, because you didn't want to get we didn't want you to have a feeding tube or
Right.
anything like that. And
Mm.
when you look at different things on YouTube or talk to people, there's so many possibilities of
Right.
what could go wrong or
Mhm.
could be things that would be required.
Right.
And if we was had the assurance that it would just take you eating some stuff, even if you may not want to eat that particular food or at that particular time
Mhm.
or drink anything, the choices were a feeding tube
Mhm.
that would do it forcibly, so
Right.
to speak.
Mhm.
And that's something that I didn't think that you would even want, or I certainly would not have wanted it.
Mhm.
And that was something that I think it was my responsibility to remind you and emphasize the fact that, you have to do this today. You have to uh, eat breakfast. You have to eat lunch. You have to eat dinner. And you have to drink some water.
Mhm.
And those kind of things to me that it wasn't just, I just say this is something that I have to do. It was my responsibility.
Right. Right.
Because I would think that, well, maybe she just forgot because she's going through so much.
Mhm.
Lord bless me with a bright mind and I have clear understanding of what the doctor said, and that let me be her support. Let me help her because maybe she forgot.
Right. The reason I laughed whenever he answered about what was the most tedious thing, I thought he was going to say driving back and forth every day because we were like 45 minutes away from the clinic. And he said, no, that wasn't the worst. The worst was dealing with you. Okay, trying to make you. Now, the interesting part of it was that because we had to go into this whole other city every day, we learned the places that had the good smoothies and all of that. And my taste buds would change all the time. So he would ask, like, what we eating today? What we doing? Because you got to eat something, you got to drink something. And so for a long while, we bought $12 watermelons. Okay, these okay, because that's what I could eat. And so we would stop by that watermelon place, and get those watermelons and stop by Tropical Smoothie and get a smoothie or whatever, all of those things. And he made sure, if this is what it was. And I will say I was not the best patient because I was so tired and I was accustomed to doing so much stuff. I'm the housekeeper and I love that. One of my things I love to do is clean. It's so relaxing for me and I love to cook. And those two things I didn't really feel like doing. And he was like, you don't have to. And I would be struggling, trying, let me just try and do. He said, just go sit down. I got it. And I felt like I don't want him doing everything. I need to do something. And he's fussing with me like, no, you do all of this, all of this. Now it's time because that rest, is going to be healing for you. You need that. And as he says, he would get up and fix breakfast. And, some days, oh, these eggs are so good. And others, I'm like, yuck, ugh. He's like, that's okay. Don't even worry about it. Eat one little bite, get something in there because the alternative is we don't want you to have a feeding tube. And, all the other was so healing. And then another thing that he did that I really appreciated was because I was so drained. And even before that, I always worked from home anyway. And so I would be home a lot. And he was going to make sure, let's go for a ride. Let's get out and get some air, or let's just walk right around the house, just a few feet or whatever. And then my friend, as I say, Georgette at church, she learned to tell him, let her drink some aloe vera, let her do this. And I was like, you need to quit talking to him because whatever it is, that's what he was gonna do. And he would threaten, I'm gonna tell your kids, whatever. I'd be like, okay, no, and make your mama eat, make her drink, all of those things. But I guess because I was divorced for so long, for over 20 years. And even when I was married before, I didn't have that kind of support. So I didn't even understand, like, this man is just so supportive and he's just right there in it, and doing. And he's like, this is what I'm supposed to do as a husband. And I'm like, okay. It was, yeah, it's just a blessing from God. And I have to say that nationwide, worldwide, whoever's listening, it really did help. And the doctor stressed all the time, is try not to be stressed or whatever. So, our prayer life helped with that, but him just coming in and taking care and doing helped a lot. And I am a talker. And so he would, remind me, nope, you don't need to talk, talk softly. And in church, during our Bible study time, he would be punching my leg. That's enough. Don't say anything else. And but the reason that I felt like I wanted to do this particular segment or this episode is because it is good if you have somebody, a support that can be that. Because our doctor, the ENT, the oncologist, all of them was like, it is just amazing. You don't have all the pain that we thought. You don't have the thrash. You don't have this, don't have that. I lost my voice a little bit, not much. They gave me all of this pain medicine. I didn't need it. And I know that it had to do with a lot of how he was taking care of me and how Georgette was pouring into both of us of what to do. So God ordered those steps. So let me ask this in closing. So how do you feel now? Because I still have some issues, some this, some that, what do you think about the process and how it went and what I need to keep doing and be?
Well, I think the process was good because we, as you said, we work towards doing everything that the physician had told us to do. And then the fact that it doesn't bother me to just keep telling you every day, several times a day, eat some food, drink some water, drink
He
something.
regulated. He knew when
And
I
that
didn't drink.
and that to me is just something that I
Mhm.
do. I
Right.
don't feel that I'm, going out of my way or that it's a hassle or a problem or anything. It's something that I think that is required. And I think that any man who has a wife who should know that you have to support.
Right.
And that's what I believe that I'm doing. I'm
Right.
giving that support that is needed at that time because I certainly believe that if the shoe was on the other foot, that
Definitely.
you would be there. But,
Mhm.
I think that I'm just happy as a lark that I can be there for you and will
Yes.
at any time and all the time.
And he's a good cook. Who knew? There you go. Yes, yes, yes. Good cook, cleans that bathroom, does all of those things. It's amazing. I love you, babe. Thanks so much.
I love you too.
We'll see you all next time.